days there's no one else who loves me like you used to. Some days I'm not myself, there's no one I can turn to. All the feelings that we shared are in the past. Your relationships are never meant to last. All the feelings that we shared are in the past. Your
What's up, guys? What's going on? How's everybody doing? How is everybody doing? Let me get the stream stuff set up on the right. Pop out the chat. Where is everybody? I don't see any. Oh shit! This is I'm in the wrong. One sec. I popped out the chat for my personal page. Give me one sec, guys. It's a little weird. Why is it posting? 1 minute. Ah, there we go. That makes sense. I gotta switch over real quick. There we go. Alright. 1 minute. Get back to the video. I guess I must have switched out the chat. Alright, we're good to go now. Can everyone hear me nice and clearly? We have a good amount of people watching. Good stuff, good stuff. Let's Merry Christmas, everybody. Hit the likes. Cornholio, always #1. Really earning that membership. What's going on? Music. Let's wait till the video ends and then decide to hit the like or dislike button. I hold allegiance to nobody. That's cool, music. I appreciate that. What's going on, Mr. K? Alright, X Factor. Sky, Mickey, XRP Mooning. What's up, man? Connected, how's it going? Keld, what's up? JT, Jason, Victor, Adrian. Alright. Music's too loud. Music should be off now. Right? Music off? Okay. I might have just muted the speakers. So give it 1 sec. So that's what I did actually. I just muted the speakers. So give it 1 minute and you guys will catch up. And yeah, we have a good amount of viewers in here. Will, what's going on? It's Victor, 1 a.m. Nice, man. Glad to have you up and with us right now. Look at that tape running. Okay, XRP inverse muning. Okay, all right. So the music should be down now, right? You know what I did? I hit the mute button instead of actually turning off the Spotify. All right, what's going on, everybody? My name is Ryan, aka Kenner and Clark. On behalf of myself, my partner Josh Rager, we want to thank you for tuning into the BlockRoots live stream. You know the deal already. We are your non-sensational source of crypto market analysis. We get heavy into the technicals. So most of our focus is on trading and not necessarily fundamentals, but we're happy to entertain all questions. Okay, so Red Twitch streams always have great beats. You know what Red listens to? I think he listens to the lo-fi copyright free playlist, which is really good. I actually listen to it all the time. I tuned into 2 of his streams recently. I think I watched an older one and one of the more recent ones. Yeah, a lot of people like those lo-fi beats. I absolutely love them too, especially late at night. If I'm trading late at night, I'll throw the headphones on and just kind of really I don't know, get into some type of vibe with that. It's really nice and mellow. All right, just turn the chart upside down. Okay, all my alts are dead. Yeah, this is interesting right now. We're going to get into that. We're just going through and making sure I say hi to everyone. Okay, looks like we have a good amount of people here. Again, what we want to do is try to get those likes up because YouTube is obviously, they prioritize those that get a good amount of engagement and get a good amount of positive feedback. And we think that the quality of the material that we put forward is there. And, you know, if we could get a little bit of likes, that would help put us at the forefront. There are plenty of other great crypto Twitter accounts that have moved on to YouTube. It's kind of a shit show, right? Not holding back whatsoever when it comes to the crypto YouTube accounts. They're just, I don't know. They're all trying to provoke an emotion with just the thumbnail alone. And, you know, once you get into the material, it's kind of obvious that it's not their area of competence whatsoever. They're all just marketers and advertisers. Okay. All right. Good stuff. So we could get the likes up. Once I hit 50 likes, I will go ahead and get the stream started and get myself situated. We have enough viewers to where 50 likes is actually completely reasonable. What's up, Dave? What's going on? Kilgore, Rob. All right. All right. All right. So as you can see right here, we are. I've been mentioning this a lot more recently. We have the new BlockRoots platform. It's I would say, a more streamlined version of the last. It doesn't have all the proprietary crap we had on the last. Let's go take a look at the last actually and see where we're coming from. All right, this was the last platform. Let me exit out of this. Well, I don't have to exit out of this. The last platform, it had the roadmaps, right? Has all the things that we get heavily into. Most of this stuff is going to be on market profile and order flow, but we had some other things too. You could create a watch list here. We had a Marketpedia, which is like a glossary of all trading related terms. The community that took you to our Discord. You had the curated news feed, but not for nothing. A lot of this stuff is superfluous, not necessary. What we are doing is, we're partnering with Nomics, for example, and putting that exchange feed data onto the website. Everyone has their sort of list of bookmark websites already that already do a better job of this. It makes no sense to kind of curate and just put it on our platform because most of the participation on the platform is either in the community or in the roadmaps. There's not too much deviation from either of those two. So this was the old platform. Not really a fan of it. So this is the new platform, and it gets right to the point. So we have the community and the course, and when you go to the course, you can see that we have the market profile and order flow course, blockchain and crypto fundamentals course, and then the market updates and live streams that we do. So if we go to BlockRoots order flow and market profile, now we've also sort of lumped in some of the basics that you absolutely should have a refresher on. I don't think that I have to say that the direction that we're going in and the direction I've always wanted to go in was to be more specific, get into market profile and order flow a little bit more heavily. And when we started off, we were a little bit more broad. So we do have to have a lot of the beginner stuff. I think it's really important that everyone has a foundation in this period before they even try to specialize. But the bulk of the information is going to be, or the most dense portion of this is going to be in the market profile and order flow section. And then we've broken it down a little bit more. But there's about, I think there's about, I don't know, 100 hours between all of these videos. Maybe not 100 hours. That actually, there was about 100 videos maybe, or 140 videos. So yeah, definitely not that many hours. Not to say that not to sell it short whatsoever. But we have a lot of information in here. And then from this is what we are iterating off of in the community. Okay, looking at BTC, the likes are almost there, but they are not there yet. But that's okay. We'll move along. I'm not a dictator. Okay. So yeah, so quick story. This is fun. So I was actually short BTC. I was short BTC. I want to say from 23,577, and I was in profit, scalping all day, and I was looking at, on my other screen, I had my Coin Market Man, and I've been talking to the creator of Coin Market Man the last 24 hours actually about things that about some ideas I had for the platform, and he's actually going to be integrating those. I told him about them, and he's going to be putting them on. He thinks it's a good idea. And then what happens in my last trade? I see on my trading account that the trade is in profit. Right, it's well into profit. It was a really nice scalp. The setup is one of the setups that I take quite frequently. And then I look at the Coin Market Man, and it also will say like the most recent position you've been in, and how far against you or for you that position is. It's the same thing as looking at it on the exchange. But I had the tab open for Coin Market Man, and my Coin Market Man, I shit you not, showed my position had moved against me negative 18 BTC. It was like negative $400,000. Okay, and I'm thinking, what the fuck's going on? So I check my position, and the position's fine, but I just closed it out. I was like, I have no idea what's going on. Let me refresh my screen to make sure that there's nothing up with the either Bybit or Coin Market Man. And for some reason, Coin Market Man, I guess, had a bug, and it completely nuked my equity curve. And this was, I have different accounts set up for different strategies, and this was one particular scalping strategy that I've had a scalping strategy and a new swing strategy, and the scalping strategy has been phenomenal. It's been around fluctuating between an 80 and 90% hit rate. And I've been kind of tooting my own horn with this as of the last month, but it's been phenomenal. It's just been printing money. And I just completely nuked like 30, it was like 24 days, the month, right? This month's new return, right? Or the return as of this month up to this point, negative $400,000. And I'm thinking, let me refresh this because it says the Bybit API gets fucked up once in a while. And yeah, I have no idea what's going on. So I messaged him, and it was really frustrating because, after you, and this will segue, and then we'll get into taking a look at the charts. When you're trading long enough, you're honestly going to be trading your equity curve. So I am more focused on the sort of linear progression. Hopefully, you have that hockey stick moment with your equity curve at some point, but I'm more focused on the gradual, healthy progression of equity curves. Obviously, I want to try to sharpen the approach as much as possible so that I do capture some, maybe at some point. Probably not, honestly. I was going to say at some point you get that exponential growth, but for a strategy that is pretty mechanical, you're going to have some type of linear growth, right? You're hoping that you execute over time and you execute consistently and it grows at such and such rate, okay? And that should be somewhat predictable. Never predictable, but you get what I'm saying. So part of that is me constantly monitoring my equity curve. And, you trade your equity curve essentially. You could apply moving averages to your equity curve, see how it's performing, how it's changing. And I just completely nuked my fucking equity curve, and it's not my fault. It's the fucking platform's fault. So, yeah. All right. So let's look at the is contents are all available or is paid? Yeah, it's paid. It's $49 a month, and the closest competitor is $1,000 up front. So it's absolutely dirt cheap. And I've been thinking about raising the price. I don't, it's for $49 a month. It's like we're giving it away. Okay. Oh, thanks, Dem. I didn't even see that. You wrote that under that, and I had just said that. Yeah. So everyone who's already in it right now, obviously, will get grandfathered in at the lower prices, and that's up for discussion. We haven't even thought of. We haven't really even brought that to the table yet. It was just kind of a thought I had. All right, so let's look at BTC. BTC right now is, let me put on my chart with some of the levels. Right now we're accepted back within this prior composite. Okay, so we had two balanced areas that we were auctioning within. First balanced area, second balanced area, accepted back within a prior balanced area. You just fall back within sort of the same behavior as the, as what has occurred previously, so more ranging behavior. Ultimately, what you could see from 1, 2, 3, 4 is we're just really defining a much wider range, right? So price was temporarily imbalanced for 2 days over here, right? So for 3 days over here, 2 days over here. Don't quote me. I have to actually check the amount of days. So we're looking at 2, 2, and so let me make this clear real quick. This is a balanced day. This is not a balanced day, but these 2 days are within balance. Okay, so when I say something like we have an area of balance right here, this was a trending day, right? But it finished off as a balanced day. You have a very balanced day right here. Impulsive, non-balanced day, but the next day fills it out. So you have a relative area of balance right here. It's just, hey, I really wish I didn't close that fucking short. Where is value developing? Okay. So then you have another high dispersion, imbalanced day, but again, most of the value has accrued to relatively the same area. And, you get the idea. If you look at this entire structure, if we were to form one entire value, one entire TPO for this, one entire profile, whether it's a volume profile, if we go to something like, this is just looking like shit right now. If we go to something like this, we'll see that the value area for the most part has been between this low that I have marked out, and we're going up higher now, right around, you're actually close, you're in between the weekly open and the highest close, so in between 23.48 and 23.8, so right around, 23.5, right? So this is amazing that this is nuking. I can't tell you how pissed off I am that I closed out that trade because it would be up well into the 5 figures by now. So we've been stuck within this greater range, so you get accepted back within a prior area of agreement, so back down here, and you're just looking back down here immediately. So once you start getting accepted back within an area where buyers and sellers were in relative agreement, so right down here, you're not really benefiting yourself by trying to catch it anywhere between this level. So even if it's this low, more often than not, it's coming all the way back down here. Okay, so all right, short-term violent fluctuations. My phone is giving me signals for ETH and BTC. So more often than not, you're just coming back down to this low. Okay, so that's where this is, honestly, as it's happening in real time. This is where we would look for some type of balance to develop, or rather some type of balance to begin to develop, imbalance to develop, where you have buyers or sellers that are continuously pushing, but we begin to find support down here. So I wouldn't really look to get involved right here. It honestly it's falling off a cliff, right? Falling off a cliff, really pissing me off, So yeah, and on a side note, so if we just look at this structure on the higher time frame, this is something that, again, it was unlikely that this was just going to resolve in a matter of 4 days and continue upward. Don't forget where we've come from, right? Don't forget, just because we're past new points, right, or points that we could not pass previously that were major resistances, don't consider that this is the beginning. This is, it's the beginning of the bull market, yada, yada, yada. But this is already put in a really ridiculous move since March, okay? So keep that in mind. And right now, let's see, just on the daily, passing this daily low. So you want to make sure that today we close above this daily low, I would say. Bulls definitely want to make sure of that, okay? So that could happen. We could nuke right now, all right? And the computer might go out because I actually might smash my computer into pieces for me closing my short out. All jokes aside, you want to make sure that you capitalize on the really great opportunities. And I'm not going to cast any blame because it's my own fault, but just put yourself in my shoes. You have a market button that's kind of right in you're on your one screen. You see that your trade is going $400,000 against you. The first thing you do, go to that other screen, check out what's going on. You see that everything's okay, but I closed it out. Because I was thinking, let me try to see if it resets on the let me make sure my equity curve still looks good. What a dumbass. I knew that the trade was in profit. So let's see if we begin to develop support around here. Let me just pull the chat to the right of the screen. And then I want to talk about XRP. Okay, one sec. Look at that tape just running. Okay. All money's going into BTC. Been in since the beginning. Best money I've spent on educate. Thanks, buddy. Link getting destroyed. Okay, so let's yeah, Dave, tell me about it. It's all good because I think we end up, I'm not going to cry about it now. But damn, that would have been freaking awesome. All right, so let's look at it. So one thing that I've been thinking about as of the last, I would say 12 hours was how for the market moving sideways, right? So for BTC moving sideways, somewhat down, how alts were kind of getting crushed. Kind of a bad sign, right? We try to pay attention to how the market behaves, right? How these relationships or what these relationships are, right? How they consistently behave with respect to each other. And in this kind of market, what we're looking for is when Bitcoin takes a breather, what we're looking for is to see if alts are moving up, right? If Bitcoin is taking a breather and alts are moving up, okay, so Bitcoin has enough support to siphon out of, or rather Bitcoin has enough support for capital to cycle out of Bitcoin and move into alts, right? And to build some of these higher beta positions. It's a problem when Bitcoin is moving sideways and alts are moving down, okay? Because then what we can have actually is a case where Bitcoin might be selling off a little bit more under the surface, but it is being propped up because the money that's coming out of alts is going immediately into Bitcoin, and we haven't really seen at that point maybe the full-on sell-off that we would get, right? What's the word I want to use? I'm not getting the word right now. Either way, it doesn't matter. The alt money is coming into BTC. Bitcoin is still moving down, right? So not necessarily the best sign. It looks like there's a good amount of profit taking. So I'm hung up on that word. I'm hung up on this trade. Now you see what happens when you get upset with a trade, and it was even when you close it out in considerable profit. Um, Side note, and I think these little side notes are important. This is why it's so important to be in the market all the time if you're trading. I don't want to hear anyone who says that they trade very infrequently and they found a tremendous amount of success. If you miss certain trades as a professional trader, you could change your bottom line or the trajectory for the rest of your year massively. Think about altering a projectile on its course by just a hair in the beginning. Okay, think about how that can drastically shift the ROI. All right, if we went from the projectile to the return on a portfolio. So you want to be able to capture as many asymmetric opportunities, as many big, you want to hit home runs sometimes, right? So anyway, all right, so it looks like a good amount of profit was coming out of alts, and it's not like Bitcoin was going on to move up, it was just continuing to move down. So really bad sign. And obviously we're going to approach this period where everything does pull back. Everything has been moving up for a really long time now. So it's kind of a no-brainer that is occurring. All right, so let's look at XRP, and XRP at 22 now. Damn, there goes the analysis. Okay, so the one really, all right, so let's look at XRP first from just a technical standpoint, how I would have approached this if this wasn't such a negative catalyst. If we had, when you close out a nice car because of another programmer's mistake, yeah, that's pretty much what it would be. No joke, that would have been that would have been a really nice, I had plans for that, put it that way. I have plans for that money either way, but I'm making a joke because I had I shared on my Twitter the Abdul and Aladdin, the guys who sell the watches, and I was just talking to him about buying a specific watch, and that would have paid for that watch. I still plan on getting it either way, but you look, some trades are so nice that you begin to think of them in those terms. You think, oh my God, if let's say you have a mortgage, and you have a sick trade, and you're thinking, I just paid off half of my mortgage. Let's see. All right, so if we're looking at this from just a technical standpoint, we forget about all the technical, the fundamental developments. All right. First things first with XRP. Okay, so XRP, you've either been part of the cult or you've been completely against it for a long time. My thing about XRP going way back is if you're holding XRP under the assumption that it's going to accrue value similar to a share, one of the worst signs that you could have seen was that XRP at some point was talking about being a publicly traded company and issuing stock, right? Going through that whole route. Okay, so, if a company is issuing stock, there's really no reason that a smart person would continue to hold the XRP, right? If anything, the smarter decision would be to be in the asset of the two that has less counterparty risk, that offers you shareholder rights, right? That, entitles you to a certain portion of the business, okay? So that was a really poor sign to begin with. It's just kind of like XRP people who have been in it for a long time, they're blind to all of these obvious negative aspects of it, all right? In a time like this where there's this conversation of regulatory scrutiny that's coming up, you are getting a lot of companies that maybe they don't have clarity, or funds, exchanges, whatever. Maybe they don't have complete clarity right now as to what is going to occur, right, with FinCEN, with the SEC. So what they're going to be doing is applying what's called best practices, right? So what are the best practices moving forward under the assumption that the worst possible outcome occurs? Okay, so what are the best practices that they can do now to ensure that they're in the best position then, right? God forbid that, they crack down on every exchange that ever held XRP, on everyone who ever shilled XRP. So best practice is to what? It's really to just get rid of your inventory, to delist it. So this is really negative for crypto because crypto assets are really they're perplexing because it's not like, if you take a company off the New York Stock Exchange, it's done. Right? If you delist companies from major traditional exchanges, they're done, right? So in crypto, you could have these dead ghost assets that as long as they're on, an exchange in Bumblefuck, as long as there's two computers connected, they could still trade and they'll trade forever. You've seen, out of the universe of 5,000 altcoins, they all still trade. They're dead, but people trade them because they're no longer projects that are worth investing in, but they're still trading back and forth, right? People are still making money off of them. So XRP could very well fall into that category of being this dead asset that still trades. But, I think that there's a good amount of people that really are holding this based on the idea of it fulfilling its role as an investment. And I think that once you start getting major exchanges, maybe like Coinbase even saying, oh, all right, this is too risky for us to hold. We're going to have to, in best practice, delist this. It's going to be a scramble to the door. So technically speaking, for me, it wouldn't be the best case with this because you have a move up and you immediately retrace it. But technically speaking, for me, if we have a major higher time frame level like this that was resistance, and let's say we moseyed on around a little bit longer, if we return back to this vertically, I would be actually more inclined to buy this than if we, gradually floated down there. And if you've ever watched any of Tom Dante, I love referencing him. He's a phenomenal trader. He talks about the drift of death, and that's what that is. This drifts down here. You think it's a really nice, easy to get in retest of support. And then this ends up nuking even worse, right? Versus this that looks really scary to buy. It approaches it vertically from a level. It approaches it from a distance, very importantly. So everyone's really focusing on this level, and they're thinking, oh, fuck, oh, fuck, oh, fuck, oh, fuck. What this area becomes is a massive pool of liquidity for anyone who's looking to buy a bigger position, right? Because once you hit into this level, you're getting a lot of people that are selling support, right? Seems illogical to us who've been trading and understand the concept of support and resistance and buying support and selling resistance, but you create this panic. So normally I would buy this, right? And normally when you approach this from a distance like this, right, vertically from a distance, okay, so over 30%, you're going to get an almost immediate response. So within a half hour, you might have a ridiculous squeeze, okay? The fact that this is hanging, right, and we've seen this occur in the opposite direction, right? We see it occur with BTC, and I always draw the, I really drew out saying draw right there. I always draw the example of when you're approaching resistance for the umpteenth time and you get the candle that's just doing this. It's just hanging out there and you're just seeing it with no wick develop yet. All it's doing is just kind of inching up. And you know that 9 times out of 10, that means that you're fucked if you don't get out of the way if you're short, or if you're long, you're probably going to get behind the move right before it occurs. So the fact that we were coming down here, right? And I was thinking I actually tagged on a market order and I had 2 limit orders below, thinking that we would just get one more spike and that we would probably end up basing out. But we kept floating into this level. So now I'm thinking that this level it's no longer relevant unless we get some type of close back above these highs. So back above, I'd say you want to be back above at least 34, 30, 33, 34, right? Just loosely looking at it's 31, right? Unless we get a close back above there, this thing is probably coming all the way back down to just my level right now. I have marked on the weekly is 14. There's been no real response, okay? This will probably have a point where shorts do get overly committed, and it's going to be at a major low, right? So there is an argument that it could occur right here. I think that there's way too much risk. Now that this did not occur higher, I think it's way too risky to buy it as it sits within the structure. All right, so my sort of idea back here was I might get, when I was filled for my long, I tagged on a market position here. I actually tagged on 2, so I filled out half of the position, right? I tagged on 1 and I tagged on 2. I had 2 limits down here. I was thinking you get the spike and then you get the reclaim right away. It was possible, right, that I wasn't going to chase this though. I saw that after I tagged on 2 positions, we actually started trading right above this low. So I'm thinking, all right, so this maybe the rip is right there. I actually put a take profit up here thinking that we would just get the squeeze. And at this point, canceled these orders, right? Not expecting any further lower, right? And thinking that if we spike up here and then now come back down to the low, it's probably that was the bounce and we're probably going to move lower. I don't want to leave those orders on. So I think that XRP is, I want to write it off as being more than just a dead crypto now. So there are cryptos now that they are trading, right? They're still trading. They're completely useless. We know that they're ridiculous. It's like a Dogecoin kind of thing. Okay, Dogecoin is like a meme, right? It's still listed on major exchanges, but no one's getting in trouble for that. Okay, the SEC is not knocking on anyone's door for listing Dogecoin. Okay, so it's not a security, right? So if you list XRP now, right, there is possible, it's possible that you are going to be on the wrong side of the law, right? And when it comes to the United States, they will go find you wherever you are. You are not safe, right? So all jokes aside, I think that XRP is probably going to put in some new lows, right, within the next couple of months. And again, it's one thing if the asset is a ghost asset and it's still listed, right? Because they're ghost assets, but yeah, exchanges might not feel compelled, right? That's the point. Exchanges might not feel compelled to delist something if it's generating them fees, right? So that's another important feature. Dead assets, leaving them on the exchange, you're still generating fees, okay? Someone's still making a market, right? Someone's still making money by providing a bid and an ask. But for this, it's kind of like this is a target marker painted on you right now. Now you got a big red mark that's painted on you. So I think that you're going to see that XRP it's going to be putting in what is the term right now? You're seeing the terminal respiratory periods right now before it finally whimpers off into nothing. All right, so let's see. Anyone have any charts they want to look at? I don't know if it brought all of crypto down, honestly. I think that listen, you got to look at, and this morning and yesterday I said the same thing. I was thinking, I can't really justify getting any kind of extra long exposure up here. Again, if we're looking at so let's get collected again, because at the beginning I was I'm a pretty passionate person. I am Greek and Italian, so when I get angry, it kind of I try not to let it consume me. I think I do a really good job on the YouTubes and crypto Twitter, but I was pretty fucking pissed. So we have just a futures market that is still quite overextended, right? It was overextended, okay? It was mostly, again, getting heavy towards the highs. And I still think that you can get rewarded in a case of this when you're in between the consolidation, right? So I'm not worried about this occurring when you're between, right? When you're putting in these larger legs. I don't like to see that this is increasing, right, or staying high when you haven't made a new high, right? Because then it's just you're getting crowded at the highs. You're getting a bunch of over leveraged longs trapped in the structure, and then you get the delta unwind and the unwind of the structure like we've had the entire trend up, right, where things have just rolled over and not necessarily had some major spike upward that has led to a crash. So BTC, again, the first time right now it is starting to show that maybe spot is temporarily in a lead, right? So we see that, hey, until support gives, it's support, right? So we came almost all the way down to that composite value area low. Didn't actually probe those lows, but support is support, right? And it looks like the spot market has begun to bid this up. And if anything, now, what are we starting to see? Maybe we're starting to see, or we started to see, that the lows started to get a little crowded by aggressive activity on the derivatives exchanges. So you could see Bybit trading at about a $22 discount to Coinbase. Let's look at Link real quick. Whew. Yeah, I don't know if so yeah, that's a pretty decent view. Holy shit, it went all the way down to 870. Whew. Coinbase, all right, so real quick, guys, I've been saying this for the last week now. It's the last week of December. It's going to be the last 2 weeks. The last 2 weeks of the calendar year are going to be probably the thinnest weeks. Unless there's any kind of other major catalyst to cause market liquidity to dry up consistently, the last weeks of the year are the thinnest weeks, or are very thin. Market was thinner, obviously, on March 12th, right? March 12th and March 13th. But, just as far as seasonality goes, right, or just quarter-wise, the end of quarter 4 is always very thin, okay? So this is just a case of, as you said, Will, this is a lot of stops nuking, right? So a lot of stops. There's not a lot of resting liquidity that obviously was there to stop it initially, but you have a really good response so far. So what did this bounce? I didn't even get to catch any of this, or watch it at least. A 30% bounce. So that's really good. I don't know if this is the bounce though, right? This can completely fill out, and it's not like Link has shown. This could have been, right, an initial response, sort of a reflexive response to that much of a dip, but I don't know if this is it, right? Link has not exactly shown tremendous amount of strength recently. Yeah, egregious, good word. Let's look at sushi. So SNX putting in a holy shit. It would have been so awesome to have that short, guys. I'm just looking at this thinking like, oh, I made fucking pennies on that short. That was a really good short, but and not that sushi has anything to do with it, but it's you know, I'd be patting myself on the back a little bit more. That's a wick. Holy shit. What do we have there? A 53% wick. So it's DeFi, right? It's an alt. And you just nuked all of those stops from anyone who was comfortably trading this trend. Oh man, it never gets old. It keeps me coming back for years. It's the best game in the world. Maybe not the best game, right? One of many. But SNX, right? Awesome move up, but back below that daily close. So, I don't want to get too excited about SNX for you guys. I've been in SNX again. I got back in SNX. I have a really good cost basis now. But as far as buying the breakout, it ain't there yet, right? You got the fake out so far. So if you are watching the newsletter and you're keeping up with the newsletter, yesterday's was pretty slimmed down, holiday edition. If you're watching the newsletter, we're talking about SNX. This is probably a really good breakout opportunity. Once we form support above this 735, sort of 7, I think it's like 780 something. You're just looking at this high. Once you form support over there, I think that this is just on to the races again. I think pretty fast too. So, back below it, signal's not there. Okay. Looks like it just came right back down to the next technical area, but you could see how thin these markets are right now. Wow, yeah, there's always a case to be made, guys, for putting stink bids on assets. I don't know why I say assets sometimes, because some of these are not worth saying assets. But there's always a there's a good reason in crypto for putting stink bids on certain pairs, right? And stink bids, I mean, there's a good case to be made. By stink bids, I mean that, let's say that you were in XRP, right? And you were bullish. If you're super bullish, you'd put stink bids down here thinking, I don't think it's going to reverse there. I'm publicly bullish. I'm definitely not going to say it, right? I don't want to manifest it, but, God forbid, I'm going to put some stink bids in the structure for the off chance that we have some major liquidity event. I bet they didn't think of this, right? But where you had something like sushi, right? A flash crash. You saw what happened to ETH on Bybit. That happens. That happened to ETH on Coinbase, I think, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, where Coinbase, I think it hit like ETH coin. I want to say some ridiculous number, like it dropped from 300 to 25 cents and recovered in an instant. And if you went down, you saw that someone actually got filled down there. Someone literally, I think it was like $700,000 or $800,000. Don't quote me, but it was some astronomical return for what they probably forgot about or did not expect. But there's a reason that you should do this in crypto, and it's because of what we're seeing right now. Things just evaporate. The order book evaporates, and you have a stop run. And there's a buyer for every seller, right? So when you get all this selling, someone is buying, right? Someone is providing that bid, right? Whether or not it's a temporary market maker getting run over, or it's someone who's actually has intentions of longing from that. It could be from someone closing out a short, right? So that would be a passive bid filled by that short, right? That would not exactly that would not be a stink bid, right? You're looking to buy for a stink bid. Opening up new business. That's what I mean. All right. So give me some charts, guys. Give me some charts, because in the middle of this action, I think it's worth, Bitcoin is pretty straightforward. Just zoom out always, right? I've been talking about how there's not really many swing positions for me right now. I've been scalping so much because I'm really happy in my spot. Right? I'm still happy in my spot. I'm not changing my spot. We have to really violate the trend for me to change my spot. But one thing we've been saying is, all right, we're extended from our faster period moving averages. I'm trying to throw an X on the 20 period. We're extended from our 20 period moving average. We're extended from our 15 period moving average. I think we're probably at the exterior of the Bollinger Bands, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we are. So, this is this is something that in a bull market you maintain, right? You maintain the top side of the channel more often than not, but over time you end up seeing that at some point when things cool down, there is mean reversion, right? Mean reversion is mean, right? So people get punished through mean reversion. So the market has been for quite some time been printing signals that it's a little bit overextended, right? If it's not just structure, look at this thing, right? We're confident in Bitcoin for good reason, right? We've been proponents of Bitcoin. All right, we have been positioned in Bitcoin for a while now, but I mean, you put a log chart on this to make yourself feel better. You take the log chart off, and the emotion is right there, right? It's holy shit, we're really far. Doesn't have to do anything massive though, right? This can completely just print and make this chart unrecognizable. And it would be like Tesla. Tesla did the same thing where it was like, whoa, this is ridiculous. But Bitcoin did it previously as well. So you shouldn't get stuck on the idea that the area on your chart matters. It has to be filled up, right? This can be a very small blip in what becomes a much greater trend. So, and that's been the case for so long now, you should just kind of expect that that's a high probability that that'll occur. There's been a major catalyst, right? But the market is very overextended. I don't really, I like to sort of mention those things for you guys. What you are, I guess, familiar with. Moving averages, Bollinger Bands, volume decreasing, right? Volume decreasing for me doesn't matter so much because in a trend, you want to see volume increasing. In this period, you want to just see that it decreases. Right, so gradually decreases. A poor sign would be if the trend begun to move down and you saw volume increasing, right? But then there's different ways you can interpret volume, and this is such a crude way to do it based on the histogram. That's why the footprint is so useful because the same way I could say, well, if chart moves down, volume increases, that's bad. What about when the chart's moving down, it prints one of these candles and you have high volume? Oh, that's good then because hey, that means absorption. So there's a lot of nuance to this, but I mentioned these things because I think you're most familiar with them. For me personally, the one thing that just says to me that the market is overextended is not, it's not, how far the market moved or, where the near support is or where the next moving average is, because those can just remain overextended and they could catch up to price. It doesn't have to be the price comes down to them. For me, being overextended means that there is something like a positioning, an indication in positioning that futures are getting overheated, right? The annualized basis is increasing, right? Basis is increasing just over a course of a few days. You're seeing that a premium is increasing and price is not making any advance. So I like a little bit more of the position specific, or rather things that are specific to positioning. Pieces of evidence to really make a case for the market being overextended, and we have that, right? So we have that. And I would just say, final thoughts before I take some charts. I don't see that. I think that you could get something like, where's my ink? I want to change the color. We're on pink still. Where is it? Am I missing it? One sec, guys. I feel like it's like in front of me, but I'm just going to close it one sec, open it up again. Here we go. I feel like you, even though you have a big bounce here, right? Hold me to this. Let's see how accurate this is. Even though, let's say we have a really big bounce here, I feel like you get the spike up here. All right. So, truth be told, I actually, I was trying to enter in a short up here, not be too loud about it. I got in a short up here. I got in a short back here. This was the one that I had the most recent mishap on. But when I was shorting over here, I actually had limits up for a spike up because I think that even if you have something like this, I could see us moving up here, doing this little stair-stepping of value, right? So you have a value area, you have a relatively small consolidation, right? Two areas of balance, doing this little process over and over again, doing it one more time, getting a spike, and then having another correction into this larger range, right? And building up enough of that aggressiveness at the low where you're returning to the low again, right? You're building up that fear before moving sideways longer and actually moving up over time. So I don't think that, I got to be honest with you, I don't think that this resolves itself soon, okay? I think that it's more likely that if there's a bigger move that was going to occur, I think that the bigger move would occur if we were just starting from here, right? I think that if there was a move hypothetically to the upside versus a move that lost this to the downside, I think that this one would have more of a follow through, right? Initially, right? I think it would end up recovering, but ultimately, we're looking at something that probably spends more time in this given area and ranges out over, let's say, into, it could be into January, it could be into the middle of January, first week of January. We're only now we're a week in, right? So just look back at previous really strong trends, and there is something to be said for how long it's taken things to resolve, right? There is a catalyst now when it comes to, yes, we have this institutional FOMO, but I think that they're a little bit more sophisticated than just marketing in one after each other. Someone's going to get caught on the wrong end of that, and I think that at some point, all markets do correct. It doesn't matter if it's Bitcoin or if it's Tesla or if it's Apple or if the S&P. I just named 3 stocks that now are one stock that makes up a majority of the S&P. But either way, they do correct, right? Someone is going to be on the wrong side of things, even if they have the direction right over the next 6 months to next year. So look at this consolidation so far. Look at previous consolidations. They've just taken a little bit longer to work themselves out, and if anything, we've had much more of an extension this time around. Okay. Aave. So Aave is, Aave has been correcting a little bit more recently. I think it shifted from, the strength was Wi-Fi and then Aave, and then now it's back to SNX. Again, what I said with Aave is I'm not really concerned about Aave, right? Aave, most importantly, looking at these weekly levels, I think that this support is probably one of the most important levels on this chart compared to where we currently are. Again, I said in the other stream, I expect that this kind of ranges out a little bit longer. Everything put in a really big move already, guys. It's like this weird fucking behavior in crypto where it's like, I don't know, the concept of like alt season, it's like talked about as if it's still, like, has everyone been in the same market I have? Like DeFi was a kind of a bubble, but it's like a better timed bubble because it's not at the tail end of Bitcoin performing well, it's in the beginning. But I feel like a lot of alts have actually put in really big moves. And if you look at a lot of the charts, it's like, what do you think we're closer to? Another 300% move or maybe a 20% move, 30% move to the downside, right? So I feel like people are, if you ever look at a majority participant in the market, you're going to see what every single book tells you to avoid. You're going to see that the majority of people in markets don't outperform markets. Okay, so that sort of wisdom of the crowd, wisdom of the crowd isn't the right word because that tends to give you good results. But how the herd thinks, when everyone's under the same sort of impression that not enough has happened yet, it's a little weird, right? So these have already put in really big moves. So I expect more of a consolidation with Aave, but Aave is the one position that I've added to, right? So I've been in since the beginning, and I've added to it. Unfortunately, I added to where we're coming back to now, but I think that this weekly level is probably most important. This is Aave against BTC, right? So Aave against BTC, it has been outperforming BTC. So we're looking at USD chart. Again, probably the most important level here is, and I want to be reasonable. I would have wanted to say this is the most important level right here because you have this high, low, high, high, low. Now it's a lower high and a lower low. Yeah, this is not good if you close below here. You're probably coming back down to this level, but could this resolve itself over time by working out more of a range? Absolutely. And if I'm confident on if I'm confident on the fundamentals of crypto market right now with regard to how BTC is being looked at and what Bitcoin's trajectory is, I think that Aave and the larger DeFi pairs do well also, and they sort of ride on those tailwinds. And they become sort of the same part of that. They become part of that current. So I think Aave is not something I'm really worried about. I do have a pretty big stake in Aave, so that's coming from someone who has a substantial amount of money in Aave. So imagine that is kind of biased. Wi-Fi. Yeah, all I see is just things that had put in very big moves, and it's not really good that we're so, just being honest, right? You want to see that consolidations lead to expansion to the upside for the trend. So maybe we are getting, maybe we're watching the market change in front of us. Who knows? But ultimately with these these lows are pretty significant. I mean, is this one whole, so you have this little flip down here. Let's put on the weekly chart. Actually, no, we don't have enough. We don't have the weekly structure. You have the consolidation down here, V-shaped reversal, treating that as support, big move up. I don't like the fact that we come back down to this area and are treating that as support, but is it possible that this is just one move right here? Right, one larger move? Yeah, it's absolutely possible. I'm not in Wi-Fi anymore, so no bias there. Very much underperforming BTC as of recently, but you know, a lot of assets have been underperforming BTC. A lot of, pairs have been. ZIL has, I've gone over ZIL the last two streams for a good reason. It's been quite an interesting chart to look at. I mean, if you look at ZIL versus BTC, it's been pretty one-sided, outperforming BTC, right? Look at this today. I think today actually breaking this high or almost breaking that high. But this is a really nice looking chart because, yeah, you're outperforming BTC as of the last 5 weeks, month and 1 week, right? And then against USD, you know, it's very overextended now, right? So this is very overextended. The first time we were talking about it was back here, and we were saying, all right, so this is a very nice technical change in market structure. I don't want to say a technical retest because it never really gave you the perfect entry, which a lot of the times happens, right? You get so just this level as being an important level previously. Support, support, support. The area where price turned, right? So this general area, so don't just focus on the line, just general area where price is turned. Comes down, bases out, resistance again, resistance, and then a very technical flip of that general sort of zone, which is, again, major resistance, now support. So what happens when you get this and you maintain acceptance above that level, okay, which you definitely have. So what happens, and I just drew this level, guys. This wasn't the level I drew last time. So it works out in this case where you actually look like you have that perfect retest. But mind you, when I was looking at this in the last streams, just to be as transparent as possible, we were actually just looking at these highs, right? So looking at these highs, and this is a case for why you have to look in a general area. So I'd say maybe the wick down to the bodies, because a lot of times in a really bullish move, you're not going to get an awesome retest. It's going to move away pretty fast. So if you incorporated the wicks and the bodies, all right, and scaled in down here, that's fantastic, but in hindsight, that's fantastic, right? What does that do for you right now? I'd say that over time, I wouldn't want to buy ZIL right here, but this is, geez, that's overextended. I mean, you have to put the log chart on to make it look somewhat less extreme. Over time, this should be a support area that holds up if this trend has reversed, right? So if you put in this big reversal, and this is your head and shoulders almost, you know, this is kind of a head and shoulders. I hate to quote patterns, but this should be the area that should hold for, you know, trend to be validated and continue moving upward. Is this something that is strong for the last 5 weeks for a reason? I'd say it's a really good sign. When the market is strong, go with the strength that already is. Go with what is already showing strength. Don't bet on thinking that things that are weak and have been weak are going to move because they've been low and everything has gone up high and it has to mean revert, and you know there's this behavior that's going to be maintained moving forward where, you know, the relationships are. You know, let's say that certain assets over time, you've seen that when one asset goes up, the other asset goes down. When the other asset is down, it ends up correcting and moving back up. And there's sort of this balance that occurs. Don't expect that to continue to occur. Not into a new bull market. If things are weak now, bet on them continuing to be weak, right? If you have new people coming in now and they just continue to be weak, there's a lot of assets to pick from. So you might have picked the wrong one if it's not moving. Okay, ETH BTC dot. I'm just going to let you guys know that I'm completely over that short now. I've noticed it has left the system. So ETH BTC, man, that is shit right there. This should have been your support, right? So I wouldn't want any part of this. I mean, 582. I wouldn't want any part of this unless we're back above this level. So back above 0.026. You know, if we're looking at it against USD, you know, we're back within prior consolidation. Maybe this, and this is the weird, you know, it's always like, is Bitcoin outpacing ETH? Is ETH outpacing Bitcoin? At one point, sometimes it looks like we're in the beginning of, where sometimes it looks like ETH is painting a structure that Bitcoin painted a week ago, right? So I can't really tell. Maybe that's just my mind playing tricks on me. But either way, right, let's look at what we have. Okay, so we have, with ETH, some really important levels. Your daily level right here, all right? This was a prior daily level. I can get rid of this now. Okay, so weekly level right here. So now we're back below a weekly high, right? So not good, right? So going back down to this chart, another daily level down here at 519. So if you look at this structure now, yeah, it's a series of higher lows and higher highs, sort of, marginally. But there's been a whole lot of interruption in between. It hasn't been exactly a very springy, bullish process throughout this, with the exception to this correction right here. But, this looks like maybe the range could develop within this level. Right, within these levels, so within 617 down to 519, nice little, what are we looking at right there, 15% range. And not for nothing, you maintain the loss of this weekly level at 6, and I think that you probably end up coming down into this 540, sort of 521 area. So it doesn't look that promising right now. Against Bitcoin, it's weak. I think that this is kind of a... I think that this is a bad sign right now, honestly. That a lot of things, so it's really important to pay attention to the behaviors between alts, ETH, BTC, and Bitcoin, right? Because there is this ebb and flow, right, where sometimes one borrows from the other, but everyone else keeps their support and maintains their level, and then it's just a matter of everything moving up together, okay? So when Bitcoin is kind of tanking and everything else is tanking, and then Bitcoin is temporarily finding support and then tanking a little more, it just reminds me of a market that is suddenly, maybe taking profit before the end of the calendar year. It doesn't look healthy right now. If we're just being 100% honest, it doesn't look healthy right now. But have we lost any major supports? No, we haven't. Not with BTC. But, part of being a person is trying to predict, right? Where is the player going to put his next chess piece? All right, so maybe not the best example to use chess, because chess is purely mathematical. At some point, if you're two master chess players, there's only the right move and really the wrong move. I feel like at some point you get put in that position. With this, it's if we're trying to predict, I think that I'm a little bit more negative now than I am positive. But the level hasn't broken yet, so it is what it is. I just think that you get something like this. And then this gets everyone excited again. The negativity I'm speaking of means that it's going to take longer and people are going to be thrown out of more positions. So let's look at some more charts. DOT. Yeah, every alt dumping is a bad sign. That's a bad sign unless Bitcoin is moving up on a tear, right? So Bitcoin moving down and every alt dumping, not so good. All right, DOT. Ooh, wow. At least you can tell my emotions are genuine, right? I look at that and make I don't even know what sound that was. That's ugly, right? I mean, so just like try to conceptualize the idea of support, right? In a trending market, you don't want to see that your consolidation has to be revisited multiple times. We don't want to play those games, right? At this point, the third test of support, like either show me the break of the high or we ain't talking anymore, okay? Because ultimately what you're doing is just begging this to give way and to come back down to this 4 level. And in a bullish market, the chart is just showing you how aggressive buyers are at these opportunities. Well, why the hell does the price keep dropping then? Where are the buyers? So DOT does not look good right now, but that's the daily chart. It's this. You could say that this is all just one larger consolidation, and this is a bull market, and this one larger consolidation is going to sort it out. Well, yeah, that's fine, but we have the same as BTC. We have these little micro consolidations within this larger consolidation, and it's pretty formulaic in that when you lose one and you gain acceptance back into the other, it's just kind of you fall right back into the low point. All right. If you look at this against the weekly, on the weekly chart rather. I mean, a whole lot of wickiness down there, but you lost this weekly level right here, right? So you lose in the weekly level. It just kind of, it speaks to me that it wants to move down there. But we'll see. I mean, the benefit of this is that when you do get a reversal, let's say that, we are back above today's open. Well, that's awesome, right? Then you've really just, you've made a statement at that point. But it's easy to make the hypothetical that is, the strongest case for the opposite. Like, that's like saying, like, it would be really bullish if this thing just ripped up and went above 6. Yeah, of course it would be. So let's see. If you do traditional markets, would love to see your thoughts on ES. So yeah, I was really active trading the ES and traditional markets for a really long time. And I have stated many times now that my approach to traditional markets is very passive, right? So I don't actively trade the ES. I got to tell you, the last 2 months I've been really itching to get back involved with trading another instrument because most of my attention is on BTC, and it's awesome. But I just, something about like alts, I got to be honest with you, something about trading things that aren't real things kind of just gets at me. I believe in Bitcoin, I believe in some alts, but trading them just for the sake of trading them, I don't know. I like the idea, what I loved about traditional markets, and there's a million things, but is no worries, right? I'm not worried about, let's think of, wait one sec. I'm not worried about Optimus Futures going defunct, really, right? I'm not worried about, on one of my traditional portfolios on TD Ameritrade. I'm not worried about that ever. I never wake up and thinking, I hope TD Ameritrade didn't get hacked. And I wouldn't trade the ES on TD. I see people do that, but it's just not the best execution. Yeah, I've thought recently I want to get back into trading ES, and I trade Bitcoin and ES. The problem is crypto is very similar in its mechanics and how it moves. ES is a little bit of a different liquidity profile, and I don't want to hurt one at the expense. I don't want to improve on, get back to trading the ES and then that be at the expense of trading BTC, which I feel like I have just a strangle on right now. So ES, though, if we're looking at this in terms of seasonality, again, the same thing is occurring with Bitcoin, talking about things being a little bit thinner now. I think that the ES easily is back over 3,700 pretty soon. I think that we're going to see a 4K ES. The one thing that I would say with traditional markets, if someone is in Tesla, be prepared now for Tesla to not be as exciting. All right, especially with, and this is just a side note on traditional markets, especially with Apple potentially entering in the electronic vehicle market, whether or not that's them creating a software or creating an actual vehicle. Now that also the Tesla is going to be, is in the S&P, it's going to be treated a lot differently by funds, by traders, by portfolio managers. It's going to be pretty much, I would say it's going to have a little bit of a leash put on it. But yeah, I possibly will get more into the ES in the near future. So I've already said ZIL super, so if you want to watch the video later. Theta. Huh, that's cool. Nice chart. I feel like we went over Theta a while ago and we're saying how it's been a really good looking chart. But yeah, for the last 4 weeks, nice bounce. But is this, your big ass dead cat bounce on the way down? I just can't help but feel this way with most alts. And I say it as someone who knows very well that me being in Aave and SNX is very biased, right? It's me like saying like that my alts are different. And Suzu talked about this, and if you guys watch the streams going back to one of the first live streams, you remember that I completely had a moment where I gapped and could not think of what I was going to say. I was going to make this point, and then I talked about how I was going to make the point, and then I completely forgot the point. And Suzu was talking about the composability of alts and how it's always like when all alts suddenly start tanking and Bitcoin starts tanking, you suddenly start protecting your, XRP people do this. My alt is different. Yeah, I understand that every alt is crashing. Yeah, I understand every alt is pretty much the same, but my alt is my alt is different. This time is different. So I know that I'm coming from a place of bias. So with theta, I'm not in theta. I look at theta and I go, that's a nice 4 weeks, but does that 4 weeks progress mean revert at some point, and do we come back to being back within the norms, right? If there's a case for this to be changing progress, let's maintain either something like, for one, this weekly level, which is kind of acting as support now. Came through here, and now we're back above there. So a high on the way up. It's an altcoin though, so these candles, the closes they might as well be arbitrary because they're so thin. There's so much movement. I really just want to focus on, I would say, going down to low time frames and seeing where the bulk of the activity occurred. So you have support, resistance, resistance, kind of resistance, resistance, resistance. You see this general area, right? If you're going to make a case for this, let's keep this spot. I don't know what that means for theta. I don't know about theta. I don't know if anything has changed or developed with theta on, from a fundamental standpoint, because I think in the market, when the market matures, fundamentals are going to play more of an important role. So yeah, but I mean, the chart's really nice. If you look at theta versus USD, again, it's very extended though. So if we're talking technical levels, if you don't look at, if you look at something like fibs, your fib traders might look at something like this. So the breakout from here, some might use, so maybe that'll be your 318 right there. Some people might use the low, put your 318 a little bit lower. So we're looking at, let's just say this, if we're going to go off of either of those approaches, which is understandable as there's no real standard that's applied by many traders when it comes to Fibonacci. So maybe your ideal pullback area would be kind of where we just dipped, right? This little pocket. So maybe we see some structure develop down here between 102 and 96. Am I betting on that? I don't know. I would say, if anything, the lower end of things. So around 96. Every alt dumping, yep. Do you think XRP being sued has anything to do with this? Yeah, no, I don't know if it does, honestly. I think it's like sometimes you just need that little bit. It's always, consider like a dam, right? Dam has a crack in it. The market is, by all means, I don't care what anyone says, things have moved up a lot. The market is pretty overextended. Aside from just structural standpoint, the futures market has been telling us that every time we consolidate, people are just ganging up on perps, long-wise. So the market looks very overextended. It has it's kind of showing signs of weakness. It's showing, put it this way, it's showing that it's closer to moving back down to, I think that it's more reasonable to expect it to hit 22 before 30, right? And that's a matter of proximity as well. It's kind of obvious. But you have a little bit of a crack. So it might be on its way to cracking, but you just need that one little catalyst to help it on its way. So it's like a dam, right? At some point, a dam, it's going to be the one extra force, one extra droplet of water that helps the final push for the crack, right? You're not going to look at that in hindsight and say that it was one drop of water added to the, force behind the wall that ended up making it break. But sometimes things are just in that position where they're so imbalanced, where in the case of a market, where that little bit, just that little bit is the perfect amount to get the dominoes dropping. I just went from dams to dominoes. Yeah, I don't think you could say that XRP, the market is selling off, being conscious of XRP being in trouble and saying, oh, we have to get out of crypto, let's sell off. I think the market was just in a, let's say it was in a sensitive position. I think that's the best way to put it. So yeah. But, that happens to the upside too. Like when XRP was pumping, there were people that were also getting into other positions that weren't XRP, and they're using XRP as proxy. They were like, oh my God, even XRP is pumping. This is a real bull market. Long. Okay, if XRP is pumping, then everything, this has to be a real pump, right? So it could work both ways. I didn't see the, fresh stablecoin, KYC, ML news dropping from Treasury. Yeah, I think that that's not really going to be as big of an issue as people thought it was going to be. because I think it's not even that clear, or if in its final form right now, it seems like very weird how you need to prove your ownership. Like, is it just by checking a box? Do you just write that I own this ledger, and then that ledger, let's say, there's no restrictions as to whether or not that ledger can be one ledger that's connected to many others that are not registered, and then there's no way for them to get in the way of that. So, yes, Link. We already looked at Link. I'll look at Link again because I think we were just looking at the wick. But like I said with Link, and at that point we were a few minutes ago, we were higher up. This big response by Link, I don't think that it makes me confident. I think that it's, if anything, it could end up getting filled out even more. I don't think that Link has been showing the utmost signs of strength recently. So, I mean, and if you're just looking at Link right now, in terms of structure, right? Back into a weekly consolidation that we had before the expansion upward, nuking all of these weekly levels on the way down. So just think of this in terms of progress. Like, you put in all this work and you just took the elevator down. So where are all the buyers, right? Where are all the buyers in that case? Are you going to just refresh them? Are you suddenly going to give them all fresh capital so they could buy the dip again? No, people get wrecked when you wreck levels like this. Market does not have infinite ammo. So if we look at this on the daily, you can see this weekly level lines up nicely, right? But like I said in the last stream, this has all been kind of choppy, grinding behavior upward, which is why I said, all right, if we break above 1450, I'll be cool with this, because we're consolidating here. And if we broke up, all right, fine. This has happened before where you grind it upward like this, but this just nuked to the downside, right? And took out every single level, almost. But could be short-lived. Yeah, honestly, SNX could be short-lived, right? Just being completely honest, maybe I want to split and reevaluate because my SNX cost basis is actually not as good as my Aave cost basis. So we'll see, because I have a substantial position in SNX, but if anyone remembers, I was in SNX and I got out of SNX and I got back in. So do I want to hold that? I've always been true to myself. Like, it's weird for me to get behind alts. It's probably weirder for people who've been following me for a really long time and know that if anything, everyone knows that I'm very selective with alts. I probably will be in maybe 2-3 at a time max. Some people have like 20 positions open. So yeah, this it's looking strong now, but there's no real, you can't really extend the concept of now in crypto in any kind of comfortable way, because it always looks fine until it doesn't, and when it doesn't, it's a hockey stick going down, right? It's, oh, everything looks fine, dead, right? 20-30% candles, they don't really take too long in alts to take place, right? It's a very quick move. So, but I mean, BTC right now, really nice wick. But again, I expect that this choppy behavior is occurring for a reason. I don't think that it's all this accumulation. I think that you end up getting a spike up, and then we end up just doing this longer. So I don't think we do anything ridiculous until end of January, February maybe. And by then, who knows? Maybe we could have had multiple conversations in the meantime and Bitcoin be back down here, right? But we'll be prepared either way, and if anything, at least we have the really obvious levels that stand out, right? There'll be no denying if Bitcoin is back within here, right? And you're not really going to want to, if I look at this right now, just to give you the exact levels where I'll be like, fuck. The 22,561 comp value area low, that's also your daily low, right around your daily low. So if we are in this area again and you're not seeing an immediate response, just look at what you have. You have a low, a lower high, right? A high, a higher, a lower high, and then you have a low, and then you'd have a lower low right within this short span. This is an imbalanced area right here. If you gain acceptance into this level, you're probably coming back down here. And that can happen, and that might be, you know, something that pisses people off, but it doesn't change the bullishness of the structure. So it would be sort of like this, right? We built this structure here. It looked like it was going to lead to continuation, then we came all the way back down, dumped into it. Let's look at the wick on sushi. Yeah, no, that's crazy. That is crazy. That's just shows you how people run for the door, and you have all these stops down here, and they're just thin. I mean, sushi is. Let's take a look at it. Coin Gecko. Let's look at sushi's depth. Let's see something like it's 2% depth in either direction. That's not bad actually. It's $1 million on Sushi Swap, right? But on Binance, it's $71,275, $96,000 to the downside. So, you know, that's gives you an idea of how much money it would take to move price 2%. Now, that's compared to, let's look at something like ETH, which is millions, right? 3 million, 5 million, and that's on a shitty exchange, right? FTX 3 million, 2 million, right? Then we go down to, let's say, Chainlink, probably 400,000, 300,000. No, it's 270,000, 587,000. So depth, right? And then you and that moved a lot. And then you have Sushi, which is 70,000, and you know, whatever the amount was, and that's on just those exchanges. If we look at, imagine people are using this, are still on some other questionable exchanges. Huobi, right? $31,000. That's just so thin. And look at all these exchanges. So Sushi BTC, right? So to get out of Sushi, get in, you know, in 19,000, 122,000. Just look how thin it is, right? All five figure numbers. So just not thick, that's for sure. But yeah, I think we're been into the stream now for about an hour and a half. Not upset anymore about the short. If anything, I got a second chance, right? I mean, it's so funny. That's why I like doing these streams, because, you know, I watch some other streams, and maybe mine are not as professional. But I bet I'm the most professional trader that is on YouTube. But you know, I'm a little crass, right? I don't edit the videos. We don't talk from a script, right? I have plenty of flubs. Sometimes I'm with it, sometimes I'm not, right? Sometimes I have high energy, sometimes I have low energy. I'm a person, right? I am a discretionary trader. My emotions are, you know, people are like, on Twitter, they're like the fakest traders in the world. They'll, you know, a trader who like quotes trading aphorisms and adages and sayings and dumb shit, like, you know what I'm talking about. The stuff that is like, it's not what occurs in the trenches when you're trading, right? It's easier said when you're not trading. Like, oh, just cut your losers early and let your winners run. Like, oh, thanks, I'll just go fuck myself. So I'll say, you know, traders will be like, oh, so you got to be robotic and without emotion. And it's like, you're a person. It's impossible to be without emotion. You'd have to be a sociopath. At this point, it would be unlikely that you'd be in front of the screen, right? You'd probably be locked up in a cell somewhere. So, you know, it's funny because I was pissed off. I was really pissed off. Because what happens is you start to think of that money, right? And I did this to myself a week ago, which is kind of funny too, because it happened in a different, it was a different situation. But it is what it is, right? And you just have to chalk it up as shit that happens, right? Shit happens, right? And what defines you as a trader is whether or not you're able to split, reevaluate from there, reset, and laugh about it. Honestly, I think that's the best thing. It's a game, right? It's a game. I hope that all of you make enough money to where you can laugh about it. But that's really what it is. It's a game. Thanks, Ibrahim. I appreciate that, man. But what would you use to trade traditional markets? I have TDA right now. No, Luna. All good, man. TD is good. Thinkorswim's a great platform. When it comes to trading futures, though, you really want the best execution, right? And I think that trading futures on TD is probably a little bit of a lag. So you absolutely want for futures, like let's say you're trading the ES. You absolutely want direct market access, right? You don't want any kind of broker in between you, and you wouldn't, right, unless you're trading like a CFD. You want direct market access. Now, a prime broker give you direct market access. TD is a prime broker. But in terms of execution speed, there's certain software that's better, certain platforms that are better, certain brokers that are better. And you'll see that there are specialties. I named one, so Optimus Futures is one of them. But TDA is great for trading stocks and all that. Luna, when I'm talking about execution, I'm talking about when you look at something like trading technologies or the ladder or jigsaw. You want the execution speed that can really pair well with that. Or you want that period hooked up to a prime broker for this type of trading, right? A higher frequency trading. TD is not going to be bad for trading, swing trading and trading in general. You could trade. I don't want to say that and you think that it's not good. Just remember that like we come from different skill levels, and what I'm looking for is maybe the slightest little difference that maybe is not even worth noticing. It's not worth focusing on for most people. And it might be wrong for me to focus on it too. DCA, bro. Yeah, dollar cost average, probably one of the worst things you could do if you're really confident. But here in India, it's 5 a.m. Still awake to watch your stream. I appreciate that. Hey, man. Early to bed, early to rise. Keeps a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. But then there's the saying that the early bird gets the worm, but the second mouse gets the cheese. So maybe sleep in once in a while. Rolex Daytona is only 25K. Yeah, I like Rolexes. I've had a bunch of Rolexes. Right now I have one Rolex left. I do a good amount of buying and selling of watches too. So we keep that on the DL. But I have a watch guy here in New York, and it's hard. You can't really get deals on watches, but certain watches you could end up making a profit on. They're kind of like Veblen goods. I've shared a few of them before, and in the amount of time that I've had Twitter, I've actually turned over a few watches. There's one watch that I absolutely love more than all of my watches, and that is my Panerai. So I think it's just a classic leather band, beautiful watch face. It's simple. It wasn't crazy expensive, but I like Rolexes. But I have a Deep Sea. I still have a Deep Sea. So, but I was looking at just looking. There's no more things popping up. I was looking at an Audemars, so a different Audemars. It was a Royal Oak stainless blue face. So, all right. And the thing about Audemars, before I wrap it up, since we go on so many little tangents, you might think, well, that's a ridiculous amount of money to spend on a watch. But that's only the case if you haven't already seen that you could spend 40 grand on an Audemars and sell it for 50 grand the next day, or 60 grand, the next month. Some things I will never give up, though. That's for sure. All right, guys. Yeah, Royal Oak's nice. I think we're going to wrap it up, though, guys. It's been a pleasure. Before we wrap it up, I think that since we go through alts and stuff, and then obviously a lot has changed. I don't mean a lot has changed, but let's just focus again on some of the lower time frame levels. BTC right now one thing that I said, this was in a stream on BlockRoots, we went from compression, you normally get compression and then you get expansion and follow through. Instead, we went from compression to expansion, back to compression again, which just makes me believe more and more that we have a longer range to sort out, because we go back to immediately this dispersion. So we see I have these wide days where they're within each other, right? So inside day, okay, you even have a break of this inside day, and the days end up just having more dispersion, and it's a volatile thin market, right? There's what we're looking for before any kind of major break would be more of this continuing, these tight days. So ultimately, what do you want to occur in a flag? You want things to tighten up, right? And then when you expand, you want this to be the impulsive move that leads to continuation. The more you have an impulsive move that chops around, and then you have another big impulsive move and then chops around, it just leads me to think this is a larger range developing. Today, so far, it looks like it's finishing as it's not balanced, right? But it is somewhat symmetrical. You have a decent low so far. The one thing about this low, it's a good tail, but in terms of what is, I think, more, so of the two ends, they're both the same, right? Kind of. Tail, tail. But the one that stands out to me, the one that I'd say did its job, was actually the one at the high, right? Because this is clearing yesterday, clearing a previous high. So we've actually walked into an area that had rejected price before, right? It shut price off before, and it shut it off again. This time, we've had a case where the market was rejected down here, but we still have a poor low down here. So if anything, this occurred within a prior profile. So I don't know if this is, and you're closing up over here right now, I don't know if this is a good tail. I think that ultimately your focus is still on this day, and I think, it's still probably lower. You could come all the way down to these lows down here before, again, you maybe find some other larger participant to bid this up, right? But I think you definitely want to keep this low on the daily. You definitely want to keep this, what's the exact level? 22,713 on a daily closing basis. I think you'd absolutely want to keep that, but I don't know. We'll see. All right, guys. Everyone have a fantastic evening, and everyone have a Merry Christmas if you celebrate Christmas. Have a Happy Hanukkah if you celebrate Kwanzaa. Happy Kwanzaa. I don't know all the other holidays. That's a shame. But either way, I hope that you've all finished the year on a positive note. If anything, it's been a year where it's probably easier to do that. I mean, you have 2 days now where you could probably make your year, you could probably finish it on a positive note, because 2020 has been one that deserves, an asterisk in the history books. So I think 2021 will bring hopefully better conditions for everybody. Hopefully, right? But we'll see each other before then. But any of you celebrating Christmas, I wish you a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. We're not going to be doing a stream this Friday, and that's why I'm saying that, because I'm not going to be logging on this Friday. But maybe I'll hop on Saturday, maybe Sunday. It's tentative. I will update you though either way. All right, guys, take care.